Hey everybody, welcome to another wonderful episode of BFF. I'm Brendan.
I'm Franco.
Still no friends, but we will get there in the BFF world. Brendan, Franco, and friends. We will have friends on some point. Maybe live, or maybe we have no friends and we're lying to you. But we will figure this out. And today's topic is movies that we're interested in. And we're going to start with 2016 before we build up to... Or do you want to do a Logan review first?
Let's start with Logan first, since that's probably the most time referential thing, depending on when this gets released.
All right, so Logan came out. I'm super excited about it. I was super excited about it, and I was totally satisfied with this film. I thought it was awesome. It was the best way to end the character, because I think it really spoke volumes about what the character is. And finally, we got an R-rated Wolverine, which I'd been dying for since 2000, when the X-Men 1 came out, and you would see all the things happening off-screen, which was annoying, because in the comic books, and you're a fan of too, he was killing everybody, and it was great, because that's what the character was about. And then all of a sudden, you had him not be that way, and it was kind of disappointing. So to me, that right off the bat, before we even get into like deep dive of the actual film itself, was just awesome. All the scenes where he actually got to cut loose and take people out, it was amazing. What did you think of those scenes?
I think it was truer to the character. I do think, the ability character is the best he is at what he does, which is, killing people. So without having him do that in movies leading up to this is a little hard. Especially when he had his own solo movie like the very first Wolverine. That was the perfect environment to have it be rated R, and they didn't do it. It was a missed opportunity. I think Logan was well done, and I think some of those violent scenes were well done too. I just think sometimes it walked the line of gore for gratuity's sake, because we can, and gore for story's sake. And I think some of the violence was definitely needed for the story. I think some of it was a little overdone. Same thing with profanity. I feel like the first 20 minutes, they squeezed as many F words as they could into the film just because they could do it. And one of the tenets of good filmmaking is, I don't think you should do anything just because you can do it. Find a reason to do it. It's the gun on the wall. Don't put it in the movie if you're not going to use it for something.
Yeah, it was a little jarring to hear Professor X drop the F-bomb.
Yeah.
It kind of took me out of the... I was like, he doesn't say that. I'm like, I know you're, again, R-rated, but I don't think he says that.
Yeah, and I think it kind of was character breaking. It didn't really fit in with the character. Even with the James McAvoy Professor X, he's always been, very British, very refined. Even if he was losing his mind, I don't think he goes the route of being that vulgar, even if he is frustrated and angry. They eventually evened it out, and he was more Professor X-y. But again, I think the first 20 minutes were just, we can do this, so let's do this with everybody we can.
I like that it was more of a Western feel to it than an actual superhero film. I think that made it work. I think that there were... I thought that Laura was wonderful. The actress who played X-23 was awesome. Yeah. I really was invested in the kids part. I wish we had more of them fighting back, because that was really cool, especially when they take out the main villain in the end by just combining all their powers. I was like, yes, that's awesome. And then I got emotional at the end of that movie. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
when he finally passes away, and then they bury him, and then they take the cross. Spoilers. They take the cross, and then she flips it to the X. I was like, it was too much. I was really emotional about it. Some people thought that was too cheesy. I didn't think it was cheesy at all. I thought it was beautiful.
By some people, you mean me. I think it was a little heavy-handed. We already had Laura do the speech from the TV show that Professor X showed her. We already had the referential part of it. I don't know if we need to go... one or the other. Pick your spot. Have her say nothing and flip the X, fine. Have her do the speech, fine. I just thought it was a little heavy-handed. It worked. I understood what it was. I just... Laura herself had no connection to the X-Men. At no point was she ever told they were the X-Men. She knew Xavier's name was Xavier, and that was really the length of it. So the X really meant nothing to her. So storyline sense, why is she flipping on its side?
No, actually... I think it did, because remember in the movie she's reading the comics?
I stand corrected. She read the comics with the X-Men. All right.
And then that was in her head, they were the big heroes, and that's when he starts yelling at her in the hotel that this is just for bedwetters and kids that can't sleep, so...
Yeah, I guess I see it. Again, I just think it was heavy-handed. I think he already had one moment of referential. I think we needed the extra 9 yards of it. But, it was done well. I do think it's interesting that if you can tell, they filmed the ending differently with a different camera than they did the first set of
I didn't
sequence
know
and
that.
everything else. So if you kind of look at the first sequences, it's all digital, and they switch to analog for the final to kind of like pull your emotion out. It's a different filter, and it kind of like the heaviness and the dark, like the kind of the tint to it is done that way. And I think that's a really brilliant move by the filmmaker.
Are you interested in seeing a film with just Laura?
I would be. I think it's a lot of story to be told there. I think the real shame of the movie for me, I think Stephen Merchant brought so much to the Caliban character. And again, spoilers, which we'll probably put a spoilers note before we even start the show so we don't kill somebody's day. Because, public access is leading the way in viewership. I do think killing off Caliban was a mistake. I think it was done in a way that made sense, but I just think having Caliban exist in the world with Laura would have worked well as kind of a guide because they've already killed off Xavier and Logan. And the kids aren't, there's no strong character amongst the kids, even though Richter is a good character. Having him around to kind of guide her afterward would have been effective, but we'll see.
I want to see the film, and I think they can. I hope that if they can keep the same actress, that'd be great. But could also see them aging her to like early 20s or late 20s to, again, just sort of make it more of an adult thing. But I think if they wanted to, they totally have another movie that can continue that storyline. And I guess we could. This is a good transition to our next topic, and we'll now that we've had the high of Logan, we're going to go to the low of our biggest 2016 disappointments.
Yeah.
And I think that ties to me. X-Men Apocalypse was one of them. There's a lot of strong contenders. It was not a great year for comic book movies in 2016. But X-Men Apocalypse just missed the mark on everything. It was a boring film. The main villain was terrible. The story was weird. The character thoughts and decision making was off. Psylocke, who I loved from the 90s, was just poor all around and not interesting as a character. You saw X-Men Apocalypse, correct?
Yeah, I saw it.
Are you in the same boat, or was there anything redeeming from that?
No, the redeeming part was they introduced characters like Cyclops, and that was done okay. That's Jean Grey was done pretty well. I don't mind her as the actress. She doesn't fit my Jean Grey, if that makes sense. And not so much the way she looks, just the way she carries herself. She's not as confident as Jean Grey kind of comes off in the comics, I guess. I don't know. But I think the hard part for me was, again, for the sake of storytelling, they made a lot of decisions that they can't undo that will affect the future of the franchise. Like, Warren Worthington is such a layered character who's so important to the fabric of the X-Men as has gone through the years, and they killed him off in a throwaway shot of a jet crashing. Spoilers. And then Havoc. Again, they have this great storyline where they have Havoc and Cyclops, brothers, finally connecting and seeing each other, and then they kill him off in the first 10 seconds of being on screen, just to kill somebody off. Like, way to neuter the rest of the series by killing off so many good storylines. And then Psylocke was not well done, and the Nightcrawler effects and makeup were interesting. They weren't really in fit with who the character is and kind of the look it's supposed to be.
They also gloss over what they tried to set up at the end of Days of Future Past when, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Mystique was pretending to be the general.
Yep.
At the end of that, and then she had captured. Was it Wolverine, or did she have the DNA of Wolverine?
They pulled Wolverine out of the river, and that was Mystique.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't touch on it at all. They kind of, it was a throwaway.
I was very confused because then all of a sudden, the actual general was in charge, and they were experimenting on Wolverine, and they had a gratuitous Wolverine cameo, which again, a lot of off-screen deaths, just to kind of set into motion him leaving the facility. And kind of bringing up the timeline in that regard. But that was annoying to me. And then the third one ends with the potential introduction of Mr. Sinister and the company that wants to clone everybody. And I just was kind of tired at that point. And I think they are actually probably going to abandon that again because it sounds like the next film is going to be associated with the Phoenix Force. And that storyline, and it's going to take place in the 90s. So they keep aging people out and up, but the actors are only aging by like 2 years. So it's kind of funny to me that they're making decade leaps because it doesn't really make much sense to me. But we'll see. But that was one of my big disappointments in a world full of disappointments. But what was your biggest disappointment for 2016?
So Suicide Squad made me really sad. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, I follow the comics really closely. Like, I've loved the comics for a long time. The second is, like, what a great property to have anti-heroes kind of existing in the vein of, like, the James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy. And here's another thing. It's the first really prominent Hispanic superhero in El Diablo to be featured on a team. Super excited for that. And they just botched all of it. Like, they made him a stereotype. Again, spoilers, they kill him off in the end, meaning there'd be no more, like, the one time they had one, it's gone. They made Killer Croc a huge walking, like, stereotype in a BET ad, which was borderline offensive, actually, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And then Margaret Robbie and Will Smith were in a completely different movie. Who knows what movie they were in? But it wasn't Suicide Squad. Like, Margaret Robbie was kind of Harley Quinn, but at the same time, she was playing Margaret Robbie. And Will Smith was playing Fresh Prince with a gun.
Yep.
And then you had Jared Leto, who did a good job, but they only showed him for 20 minutes. Like, if you're going to put him in the movie, let him eat scenery, because that's what Leto does. And I think they just missed the mark in a big way.
I think they missed the mark, too, with Affleck's Batman kind of being shoehorned in there, too. That didn't make any sense. He didn't need to be in there. The ending was also weird with Joker breaking into the facility to grab Margot Robbie, which I'll refer to her as just her full name, because, again, I agree with you. She wasn't really being Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're trying to set up. Supposedly, Suicide Squad 2 is in development, but not with David Ayer. They're not bringing him back. But David Ayer is supposedly working on a Harley Quinn and female Batman villain show or movie. And, I mean, that was a fun... In the comic books, that worked out really well, but I'm not sure if it's going to work out well on screen. But the next big DC movie, I believe, is Justice League 2 that's coming out, because they're filming that now. I think that's the next one, right?
I think they're going to go... Aren't they going to go Aquaman first and then Justice League? I think that's the idea, right? They'll introduce the characters, or they're going to go League first?
I think so. I think the Flash movie is in limbo because they keep losing their director. In my opinion, they shouldn't even do a Flash. They should have just left it as what they have in the TV show.
Yeah, what a missed opportunity. That cast and that show has done such a great job of establishing the character and building you an emotional connection. And I don't have anything against Ezra Miller. I think he's one of the better actors they've brought in for the DC universe. Just they didn't need to replace an actor that's done so well for them, who people already have a connection to. They just should have brought over that Flash instead of trying to make a whole new Flash in the new universe.
Because it's what Marvel's doing with Netflix. It's what's Marvel's doing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So if they want to try to get to that level, they could have easily copied that and had their TV stars be associated with the movies, which would have been nice. Maybe Green Arrow is mentioned, but you don't have to put Stephen Amell in there if you don't want to. Yeah. But Flash, I think Grant Gustin could have easily held his own with that group, and it would have made sense. But I think they've such tonal differences between the TV version and the movie version that it would have been a weird kind of dissonance between those two characters if you put kind of the more happy-go-lucky Flash version in with a very sad Ben Affleck. So, but we'll see. And I agree with you. Suicide Squad was just disappointing for a variety of reasons. But what was your favorite 2016 superhero film to balance this thing out?
It's hard to compare. I really like Doctor Strange because it was, again, taking a lesser-known Marvel property and kind of mainstreaming it. I think they did a really good job with that. And I liked a lot of the progression of it. There was enough plot holes there that it was hard to kind of watch. I really enjoyed Deadpool. And I've liked Deadpool for a long time, which everybody kind of says. I was cool before kids were cool. But I used to read all of them when it was first coming out. And he's a fantastic character. He was great back when he was a villain in X-Force. So I really enjoyed the transition of the movie. And it's the first movie to really get the comic book character right, all the way. X-Men did an okay job. Even Marvel movies do an okay job. They don't translate all the way of the character because they can't, because they're mainstream PG-13 movies. Giving Deadpool the R rating and letting them kind of have creative freedom really played a good homage to the character. And they did a good job kind of translating everything that makes that comic book special.
I agree. Deadpool is the one bright spot in a sea of crap for superhero movies. It was just a fun film. it was kind of loosely tied to the X-Men franchise, which I kind of thought was funny because at least they opened the door to have Deadpool show up in a future X-Men proper film, which I'd be okay with. And I think it leads to and it gave us Logan, because without the success of Deadpool, I don't think you would have gotten the green light for an R-rated Logan. So, you know, my hope is that the trend isn't let's make it R-rated and just go crazy because we're R-rated, and that they actually put focus. Because if you missed that, Logan was well written, Deadpool was very well written. That's what made it successful, and the acting made it successful, not the fact that it was R-rated. The R-rated just helped tell the story, but it didn't make the film. So hopefully people learn that. I doubt it, and maybe hopefully some of our favorites or potential favorites for 2017, things that we're looking forward to. What's a film that you're looking forward to in 2017?
I'm really looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I mean, what a surprise the first one was. Like, these characters are not mainstream, they're not really well watched. Even less so than Iron Man when his movie came out and kind of made the whole Marvel universe a thing. I don't know, the first movie was just so refreshing and so fun. And I feel like the second movie hopefully will be fun too. The same director's behind it, which is a rare thing in comic movies. Normally the director shifts and changes to get a different vision. I think keeping the same director and keeping that same tongue-in-cheek kind of approach will be a really great movie, and I'm excited for it.
Is Avengers Infinity War I thought was 2017, but it's actually 2018. So I think I'm going to stick with Guardians. Actually, I'm going to pick Thor. I'm excited for the new Thor movie. I think because it includes one of my favorite storylines, Planet Hulk. I think it finally will let the Thor character do what he can do by putting him up against superhuman level strength and energy and everything else. I think he kind of gets a little bogged down. It's kind of like the Superman crisis, where you can't. It's really tough sometimes in movies, in particular, to make Superman feel vulnerable because he's Superman. But by putting Thor in a spaceship and having him go across the universe to figure out what's going on with his homeworld and why he's no longer worthy to hold the hammer, I think that's going to be really entertaining. And it has supposedly some cameos from Doctor Strange. I'm hoping that it has maybe a teaser with Guardians at the end. Maybe this is where they finally connect the world that Guardians is building with the world that they built on the Earth with the Avengers, and maybe that's the connection where maybe Thor. My thought, and this is purely fanboy speculation, is perhaps at the end of this, when Thor gets Hulk back, they're maybe stranded because in the comics. And I believe this is what happens in Planet Hulk. Hulk's spaceship gets destroyed, so they have to actually get a new one for him to have him get off the planet. Yeah. My hope is that maybe they pivot that to where the Guardians land on the planet and then go, "Who the hell are you?" And then they go, and Thor goes, "Who the hell are you?" And then that's how they end. That's how they meet. That'd be kind of cool, because then they can get them back to Earth and then bring the Guardians along with them. So I'm looking forward to that. And then to make it sad is my least favorite, my least interested film that I'm seeing, that I probably will still see, is Power Rangers. I want to see it because I don't think it's going to be good. It looks really like a big bummer. The first trailer was super sad and it was really emo. They tried to make it more interesting with the second. I think it's going to be terrible. I think they should have left it on TV. There's no reason to build a movie tentpole world of Power Rangers. Nobody's asking for that. So I think it's going to be terrible, and I'm going to try not to contribute to the money that it earns. So I'll wait maybe a month until it gets to that cheap theater. So what are your thoughts on Power Rangers?
It's going to do well because it's a diverse cast and a teen comedy. I'm not excited about it. It's not my least favorite movie I'm looking forward to, but it'll be something. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think if you're... Well, let's be honest. The original series was pretty terrible. Like, it wasn't well acted. It was scenes taken from a different show with a different plot and hammered into an American teen high school. So it's not like Transformers where you're crapping on an entire, like, legacy of quality fiction. You're kind of just looking at something that wasn't high quality in the first place and adding to it. So I think it'll be fine. I don't think it'll be necessarily great. It just won't be bad. My film I'm not looking forward to at all is the newest Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, talk about a movie was great the first time. Like, the first movie was fantastic, and then the second movie was so bad that I, didn't want to see the third one. Then they made a fourth one, and now they're making a fifth one. I know Johnny Depp needs the money. because he's been
He
kind of
does.
struggling. Mordecai was a pretty terrible movie by itself too. I just think it's gonna be terrible. I need more depth being depth, and they've dragged back in Orlando Bloom. I just don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm just not looking forward to that at all. And I probably won't see it in theaters. I'll wait till it hits the bargain bin or on Netflix because it's going to Netflix fast. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. That's a great subject for another show. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, Netflix has major movie players doing films for them, which I'm not sure will be good or not.
Yeah.
AKA, i.e., Adam Sandler. But that's for another show altogether. But I think that I'm going to try to wait on that too. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I think we've hit peak superhero film, and I think we're kind of in a downward trend. I think once Avengers: Infinity War wraps up, that's going to be really telling as to what they want to do next. I think Black Panther is going to be an awesome film, so I'm really looking forward to that down the line. I think that's not until 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, it's a long
But
way
I
out.
think it's a long way out. But I think once we wrap up Infinity War Part 2, and Downey's probably gone if they don't kill him off, which I could see them doing in Infinity War Part 1. Somebody's got to die, in my opinion. They're building toward it. They almost did it in Civil War. They're this close, but I feel like they're pushing the audience to accept that someone's going to die. So I think that's going to happen, but we'll have to see where it goes. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Franco will be pleasantly surprised.
We'll see. I don't know. I think the future of the Marvel franchise will depend on how they kind of act with Infinity War, who they kill off, who they don't kill off, and then what kind of tone they set for the rest of the films. So we'll see.
Well, that wraps it up, man. That was quick. It felt quick.
That was it. That was probably the fastest go we've had for show number 3 here.
Or if this is out of order, it may be your first time you're seeing this.
Well, let's hope not, because there was no exposition on who we are in this episode. So, anyway,
All right, Franco, do a great show. We're going to be back next week. This is the BFF Show. I'm Brendan.
I'm Franco.
Have a great night.
Peace.
Or day.
Or day, yeah.